Okay.
Log out when you're done, and I'll edit it and fix it up.
All right.
Yeah, and just maybe send me an email or give me a call when you're finished, so I know that I can go and take a look.
All right, sounds good. Let me get cracking on this, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you for sticking with it.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Bye.
All right, talk to you soon.
Okay, bye. Hello, and welcome to Starting a Business and Staying in Business. This will be a really short video to sort of help you navigate the issues that go along with starting a business and generating revenue and that sort of thing. So I've got some tips that I'd really like to share with everyone out there, and hopefully you can hear me. Let's see. The first tip that I want to share is knowing who you are and what you want and what you want to accomplish and how you want to accomplish that. You know, in over 30 years of being in business development, being in media, working with small and mid-sized businesses, one of the things that always amazes me is the number of small business owners who have no idea what they want to accomplish. They may have a great idea, but it's not terribly thought out. So one of the things that I always say is that if you can figure out exactly what you want to accomplish with your business, and this doesn't mean I want to make a lot of money. That's not what that means. It means quite simply, what is the purpose of the services or the products that you sell? So, for example, as a business development consultant, what I do is I help small business owners generate sales through my consulting and my workshops, through my books, through my radio shows, and through all the other media platforms that I do. The next thing that you want to do is you want to, and this is sort of a big bugaboo of mine, is you always want to go into any sort of business arrangement with the idea of how you can help the other person. I attend a lot of networking events, and one of the things that always sort of grates on my nerves are the people that want to they want to sell you something, they want to get something without understanding that most relationships are reciprocal. So if you're going to give something, or I'm sorry, if you want people to give you something, you have to be able to reciprocate. Being in media, I get a number of people that will call me up and they will say, hey, I want to be on your radio show, or I want to be in your magazines, or I want to be on your TV show, which is terrific and it's part of the job. But unfortunately, when you tell them what it is that you need, whether it's new advertisers or new subscribers, or more media contacts, whatever, they forget who you are, and that's a big no-no. So what I always tell people, particularly new business owners, is that you have to understand that while you have a product or service that you have to sell, you will also have something, contacts, resources that other people need. So don't be, obviously protect them, because that's your gold, but be willing to say, hey, tell me how I can help you, because the people that do that, those are the ones that I want to do business with. And I've spoken with a lot of my colleagues and they agree. They say, I do business with people that are open, that are helpful, those are the ones that I remember. The ones that are just trying to sell me something, I'm not interested in. And so you really do have to go into this with a sense of how can I help you, and or rather, how can we help each other? I also want to talk to you about being passionate. There are, when I do mentoring or lecturing, one thing that I always ask is, are you passionate about what you're doing? If it feels like a job, then it's going to be work. It's going to be hard work for you, and you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to be passionate about it. So if you're going to go into business for yourself, be passionate about what you do. I work 6 to 7 days a week, but I don't think of it as work because I really love what I do. I love the fact that I can be creative, the fact that I can strategize and come up with new ideas to help small business owners. It is, for me, it is, a wonderful place for me to be at this point in my career. The other tip that I want to leave you with is, do you have a plan B in case things, start getting going slowly? There are many people who, they'll go into starting a business and they'll say, I'm going to make this work, which is terrific, but they don't have a contingency plan just in case things don't start off immediately. Usually when you're starting a business, it will take you 6 months, possibly a year, to really find your footing, to find out what works and what doesn't work. It may even take you that long to close your first sale. In the meantime, you still got bills to pay. So, one thing that you do want to have is a 3 to 6 month savings, so that you can still take care of your bills, and you don't feel that pressure to close a deal at the end of the month. Okay? The other thing you want to do is you want to figure out who is most likely willing to purchase from me. That's called target marketing. If you target the people that you want to go after, you're going to have a better chance of closing your first sale within the first 90 days. And by the way, from a sales perspective, closing a sale usually takes between 1 and 3 months. That's usually the sales cycle, simply because you have to contact the person, you have to send them literature, you've got to follow up on it, you've got to set up a meeting, you've got to meet with them maybe 2 or 3 times, and then you've got to close the deal. The person also has to have a need, a budget, open to meeting with you, and whatever you're selling has to be a priority of some sort. So in other words, if the person is not looking to purchase anything within 6 months to a year, that's not a priority. It's not a priority for them, and they're most likely not going to purchase from you, at least not at this point. The other thing you want to keep in mind is, if the person doesn't have a need, you don't have a sale. Think about everything that you have purchased, whether it's a new shirt or a new suit or whatever. It's probably because you needed it, not necessarily because you wanted it, but you probably needed it and wanted it. So think of it in terms of, well, what does this person need, and how can I sell them? Okay. The reason why that's important is because too many salespeople sell from faster, cheaper, better. In other words, we have the cheapest rates, we can get it to you faster than anybody else, we are better than anybody else. And that's all well and good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the prospect has a need for your service. So what you really want to do is find out what the need is. And the way to find out, the best way to find out what a prospect's needs are, is simply by asking what their needs are. So tell me what you're currently doing in terms of making this kind of purchase. Do you have a vendor that you're currently working with? Will you be accepting bids within the next 1 to 3 months? Do you have a budget? How much of a priority is this? By asking them those simple questions, you will begin to sort of figure out what their needs are, and you sell from the need as opposed to faster, cheaper, better. Now, business will, one of the other tips I want to give you is business will never come to you. You have to go after it. There used to be a time when, particularly when I started in business, where business would, people would, locate me and they would call me and, and then I'd try and sell them something. But it usually come to me because they knew my reputation, they knew my history, they knew my prices, they wanted to come to me, which is terrific. Those days are over. It rarely ever happens now. And you really have to be aggressive in terms of your approach to closing a deal. That means direct mail, email campaigns, networking, speaking engagements whenever possible, any way that you can get the word out about who you are and what you do is a good thing. Going on media programs, radio, TV, internet radio is the hot new thing because it's easier to get booked on internet radio than it is traditional radio. So keep that in mind as well. So any way you can promote yourself, share your level of expertise, that's what you want because those are the people that are going to come to you. Okay? Think outside of the box thinking outside of the box will always get you more sales than doing what you've always done. One of the great lessons that I learned, particularly in 2009, when the economy was, in the toilet, was that there was a lot of business out there. I just had to be willing to go out and find it. Because I had been so used to doing business a certain way, staying in my own geographical area, I wasn't developing new products or services at that particular time. My business got stagnant. And then what I realized was that, well, what about promoting or selling in different markets? So one thing that I realized in doing a lot of research was that there were a number of small business owners in Canada who were interested in doing business with me, which was kind of a shocker because I'd never thought of doing business in Canada up until someone contacted me. And so I said, well, we've got this one person who's interested. Let's see if there are other companies that are interested in doing business with me in Canada. And then I started thinking, well, where else do I want to do business? My product and services are global. The media platforms that I have, the books that I sell, the workshops that I do, everything that I do is global. And most of everything that I do is on the internet. And so it got me to thinking in terms of, well, I can sell to pretty much anyone. It's really a matter of whether or not they have a need. And if so, if they have a budget and how soon they're interested in purchasing. Once I realized that, that's when business really started taking off. That's when I started creating different services and products to help small business owners, to be of service to other people. And that's when business really started taking off. And it's been amazing since 2009. One of the things that I always tell people is to diversify your talents. And what that means is, when I began in the business of business development, at the time it wasn't called business development, it was called, telemarketing. When I began some 30 years ago, the only thing I did was appointment setting. And then I got into coaching, and then I got into writing about what I was doing. People started buying my books or reading whatever articles that I was writing. And then I started lecturing and consulting and publishing, and so now I've got this media platform where I've got books, I've got radio shows, I've got magazines that I publish, I've got 2 new TV shows that are coming out on the internet beginning. One is next week and the other one is in January. And so I've got all these opportunities to get the word out that I've created simply by diversifying what I do. Now, here's an interesting fun fact. Excuse me. A good part of my revenue comes from consulting, but I also generate revenue from my books, from speaking engagements, from workshops that I do, advertising revenue through the books, through the magazines, through the TV show, and through the radio show. So what I realized is that it's the first rule of thumb in terms of business. It's the same rule of thumb for investing. If you think about diversifying your talents, you have a better chance of always generating revenue. Excuse me one sec. So, having said that, what you want to do is you want to write about what you know, you want to teach what you know, you want to partner with other experts in the field, you want to share your knowledge. I'll let you in on a little secret. One of the biggest, I guess, advantages and surprises that I received was when I was writing for allbusiness.com. This was a few years back. And allbusiness.com, they deal strictly with anything that has to do with business. The column that I wrote was specifically geared towards telemarketing. And, I got a lot of readers from that, but one reader in particular sent me a message and said, "Hey, I love your tips, and we are wondering if you can give us a quote for coming to New York and doing a series of consultations with us." And I had never gotten a request like that before, so I wasn't sure whether or not to take it seriously or not. So I said, okay, well, what the heck. Sent them a quote. I said, this is what, I'm going to charge, and these are my amenities that I asked for if I'm going to come all the way to New York, etc., etc. Well, they accepted it, and about a month or so later, I was in New York for about a month or so. They put me up in a hotel, a really lovely one, took care of, expenses, paid my consulting fee, and I wound up staying in New York for about 6 months. I had sublet an apartment, and it was fantastic. One of the best 6 months of my life. The moral of the story is you never know who you're going to reach. And so if you're going to promote yourself, make sure that you're getting the word out in as many different platforms as you possibly can. And you never know who's going to reach out to you and say, I really love what you have to say, and I want to offer you, a contract. So, now one of the tips that I do want to talk about is why some businesses succeed while others don't. The main reasons include the business owner forgets that the main objective to running a business is to sell, and that means that there are a number of people who they go into business and they get so busy with busy work, they actually forget to close the deal. Because it's that fear of rejection that keeps them from either picking up the phone or setting up a meeting to go meet a prospect. They forget their job is to close a deal, as well as running a business. And doing paperwork is not running a business. You have to get out there. You've got to meet with people. There's a lot of different components that go in running a business, and if those components are out of sync, that's when you start having issues, major issues. So you also want to make sure that when you're meeting with people that you're asking them the right questions. When you're meeting with people, it's the basics. It's business 101. You show up when you're supposed to show up. If you say you're going to follow up, you follow up with people. I can't tell you how many people that I've contacted who said, hey, call me back, because I'm interested, and I will call them back, and they'll say, gosh, I'm so happy you called back because your competitor was supposed to call me back months ago and never did. And so guess who wound up getting the contract? It's if you're not interested in the business, there's going to be someone else interested. So you do yourself no favors by not following up with people and not doing what you say you're going to do. Here's my other one pet peeve. Never show up for a meeting without a business card. I go to a lot of networking events, and my biggest pet peeve are, I meet with people and they say, oh, well, if you look me up, or if you tweet me, or if you, send me a text message or whatever. Well, nobody has that kind of time. I don't leave the house without a business card because I never know who I'm going to run into or where I'm going to run into. When you don't have a business card, it sends a message to the other person that you are not prepared to do business with them. And if that's the case, why should they do business with you? And I'm not talking about people who are just, starting out in business. These are people who have been in business for years, but they become, cocky and arrogant, and they figure, well, if you really are interested, you'll buy me. I actually had one gentleman who told me he doesn't carry business cards because he figures that if anybody is interested in doing business with him, they can just look him up. Well, nobody has that kind of time, okay? And so what I always suggest is have business cards, ask for a business card, and then follow up within a couple of days, maximum 2 days. If you don't do that, it sends a message that you're not serious. Now, I mentioned earlier that administrative work is not the same thing as running a business. It's only a small part of it. Please don't fall into that trap that shuffling papers is the same thing as busy work, is the same thing as running a business. It really isn't. And I see a lot of new business owners that do just that. They spend days, hours, shuffling paperwork, trying to get organized, trying to, we call it fixing to do something, and that's not running a business. It's either you want the business or you don't. If you don't want the business, don't go into business for yourself. Cold calling, target marketing, promotion, sales, administrative work must be managed equally. So every day you need to set aside a certain amount of time to do the telemarketing. I know nobody likes to do it. It's a pain in the butt. But you have to do it. You have to pick up the phone. You have to send out literature to people. When you send out literature, did you get it? Have you read it? What do you think about it? You have to make sure that the person got the information, read the information, and has an opinion about the information that you sent. You would be amazed at how many people that I will send literature to, and I will follow up with them with a phone call, and they'll say, I don't remember receiving anything. And then I wind up sending it again, and they'll say, oh, I really want to take advantage of this. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have the sale. So make sure you do that. Close the deal. One thing that I see a lot of salespeople do is they don't ask for the sale at all. They will go through the motions of doing the presentation. They will, talk to people about who they are and what they do. They will make sure that, the person has the right literature. But then they drop the ball in terms of asking the person for the sale itself. And that accomplishes nothing. Lack of focus and discipline will kill a business greater and faster than anything. If you're not focused on what you want to accomplish for that day or that week or that month or that year, you're not going to be in business very long. Okay? Now, there are a couple of resources for promoting your business that I think you should know about. Number one is Haro, Hero.com. That stands for Help a Reporter Out, and it is the resource that is used by a lot of reporters. I use it when I want to get myself booked on different radio, TV, newspaper, magazines, media outlets. That's where I go to. Help a Reporter Out. If you sign up for Help a Reporter Out, it doesn't cost you anything. You'll get daily emails telling you what reporters are looking for, what they're interested in, what stories, how to submit, etc. Small business owners don't do a lot of promotion. They are starting to realize that they're going to have to, because a lot of small business owners went out of business in in 2009, simply because they were not getting their message out to the people. Best way to do that is by promotion. It is important to note that if you're going to start booking yourself for media platforms, you're not immediately going to get on MSNBC. You're not going to get on Oprah Winfrey immediately. It's not that it's impossible. It's more difficult. So you always want to start with local, smaller resources. Think about your local paper, your local magazine, local TV shows, internet TV shows, internet radio. Blog Talk Radio has over 2 million different radio programs, including myself. That's where my radio show is. And very easy to get yourself booked. All you have to do is go to the website, do a search for whatever subject matter that you're interested in talking about, contact the radio show's the host directly, and submit a query and say, hey, I've listened to your show, I'm interested in being a guest, are you booking new guests? And chances are you'll hear something within a few weeks. And more often than not, they'll say yes. Now, if you don't hear from them, don't be discouraged. I have a 1 to 3 month waiting list in terms of booking people on my radio show. That's just the way that it's been for the last 3.5 years. Some people, they get back with you sooner. To be honest with you, I still have emails from 2011 when I started the show that I haven't had a chance to respond to, because I've been so swamped with requests to be on my show. So don't get discouraged. You may just need to resend an email and say, hey, I sent you an email, a while back. I'm very interested in being on your show, and that will always get my attention. So don't get discouraged. Teach what you know. One of the things that I love to do is I love to teach. I don't normally do webinars. I like to be right in front of people, because I tend to be intuitive when I teach. I like to find out what people are interested in, what they're not interested in, how I can help them, and then work with them specifically to solve whatever issues that they have. Teach what you know, write what you know, share what you know. Speaking of writing what you know, I always encourage everyone to publish something, whether it's an article, whether it's a book. And when I say a book, it doesn't have to be, 400, 500 pages long. It can be 125 pages. The first book that I ever published, Telemarketing Success for Small and Mid-Sized Firms, was 114 pages long. It wasn't a large book, but it became a bestseller because people wanted that information at the time. And so if you turn your articles into a book, you can actually self-publish. And I highly recommend self-publishing because, number one, everyone's doing it. Back in the day when I was publishing 10 years or 15 years ago, I think it was, when I was publishing things, it was unheard of to self-publish. Nobody was really doing it. It was called amity publishing, and people didn't take it seriously. Well, now everyone can self-publish, and it has the literary world a little nervous because a lot of the larger publishing houses are now out of business or they've downsized. Mostly because people are not going to them with their ideas. They're simply saying, you know what, I'm going to go on this website and I'm going to self-publish and I'm going to distribute it and that sort of thing. Every single one of my books self-published because every single agent and publisher at the time said that there was no market for a telemarketing book for small and mid-sized firms, which I knew was a lie. And that's okay. And if you're looking for a really wonderful resource to get self-published that costs you little or no money, go to Create Space, that's space.com. Create Space will allow you to do it within a matter of weeks. So all you have to do is choose the cover. They walk you through step by step. You can upload whatever copy that you have if you want to edit it yourself, or if you want to have someone else edit it, or if you want to have Create Space to edit it for them. There's a little fee to do that. You set how much you want to sell the book for. And here's the best part. Create Space is owned by Amazon.com. So you can't really go wrong that way. And every month they send you, they don't send you a check, but they send you a direct deposit into your bank account of any residuals that you get from sales from your book. So it's a wonderful way to get the word out there. Now, the downside is that unless you really know about marketing and how to market yourself, you have to excuse me, there's an ambulance going by. Unless you really know how to market yourself, you might have a little bit of difficulty, but that's okay. You can always hire someone to help you with, how to get the word out about who you are and what you do. So don't be discouraged. Hold book launches, hold speaking engagements. It's one of the best ways to establish yourself as an expert in your field. If you are interested in self-publishing, as I said, Create Space is one way to do it. They also handle the distribution for you, so you don't have to worry about that. They take care of everything. If you don't want to go that route, then traditional publishing is wonderful. You may get a nice little advance, but you won't get. And I want to clarify this: that unless you are a celebrity that publishers know they're going to sell a lot of books, you're not going to get a $2 million advance. Those deals are done. What you'll get at most is probably around $5,000 to $10,000, and that's about it. If that, because they're really hesitant in terms of writing a check for an unknown author. It is harder for an unknown author to get published. It's not impossible, but it does take a little bit of time. It might take you 90 days to hear back from them once you send a query out. It might take you another 90 days for them to get back with you and say, send me several chapters and a marketing report. So you have to figure out how to do that. It might take them another 90 days to get back and say, hey, we like this, we're gonna sign you to a deal, and we want to take it to a publisher. And then again, it might take you another 90 days for the publisher to say, yes, we want to sign this particular author. So when you think about it, it might take you up to a year before you actually get an answer or you actually see any money. So that's the reason why a lot of authors are going towards the publishing or self-publishing route. But it's a wonderful way to get the word out about who you are and staying in business. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's starting a business and staying in business means that you always have to be relevant, and you always have to keep your name in front of your target audience. And that means, again, teaching what you know, writing about what you know, promoting yourself on radio, magazines, TV, that sort of thing. Small business owners really are just now starting to understand that promotion is really key. And sometimes you have to spend a little bit of money to do it, but it's well worth it. So the choice is yours in terms of which direction that you want to go in terms of starting a business and staying in business. It is a lot of hard work. It takes up a lot of your time. You almost have to be obsessive with it. You have to be disciplined. If you're not, you have no business being in business. Once again, don't forget, always carry business cards with you. Show up on time. Show up and be prepared to do business. And give to get, because nobody wants to be in a situation where you're calling them up and they're saying, oh my God, this person, this Tony Wilkins is calling me up, he wants something. You never want to be in that position. So what you want are people to say, oh, Tony is calling, and let me see what he wants, and usually they're going to be a little bit more open in terms of helping you out. So just be prepared for that. Now, I want to thank all of you for sitting in on this session. I realize that I was a little raspy, and so I apologize. It's an occupational hazard. Be sure to tune in to my radio show. I'm on blogtalkradio.com/Tony Wilkins, Wilkins. That is Small Business Forum Radio. You can also Google me, Small Business Forum magazine and radio. You can also check out my new magazine, Foodie Quarterly, or if you're a writer, we have a new show that's coming, or a new magazine coming out called The Writer's Circle, which is coming out in January, so be sure to check that out. I have the Tony Wilkins Show that's going to be on live stream, so be sure to look out for that. You can also email me for a list of events that I'm going to be hosting, or speaking engagements, etc. You can email me at awil267487@aol.com. And don't forget to connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm happy to talk with you, and I'm happy to help. I'm Tony Wilkins. Thanks so much for tuning in.